Without consciously thinking about it, I sit down on the floor. My mind is an empty buzz, incapable of comprehending the totality of what I just heard. The church wants me to eat people. The church wants me to eat people. The church wants me to eat people. I can't, I whisper. I can't do that. Yelisaveta makes a sympathetic face, squatting down to join me on the floor. Yeah, I didn't think you'd like the news very much, she admits, sighing. Which is why I figured I should tell you now. Give you some time to think and decide. It's a big ask. That's a painful understatement. The church was the entire basis of August's morality system, which is of course the entire reason I have a morality system. My empathy, my humanity, my adherence to right and wrong. It's fundamentally and inseparably rooted to the truth that eating people is wrong, no matter what. It doesn't matter how good it feels, it doesn't matter if I think it's going to help a friend, it doesn't matter if I am getting beaten half to death, it's wrong. Full stop. I have to believe that. Or else I can't, I tell her again. She has to understand that. Well, I'm pretty sure you can, Yelisaveta counters patiently. The question you're struggling with is whether you should. And that's a much trickier topic. No, I disagree. No, it's not. It's a sin. It's wrong. You can't give me a good reason to eat people. I can't believe there is one. Please. Yelisaveta's eyes open a little wider. Oh, she says. Oh, I see. I'm sorry, Lark. She scoots forward, moving to a cross-legged position and getting as close to me as she can without touching. Her smile is so sympathetic, so understanding, that I burst into tears. I hate this. I hate myself. This can't be my fate, can it? But it makes too much sense. Why are the Templars helping me? Why did the Watcher make me like this? Why do I have to suffer? The questions I ask myself every day have answers, now. I eat souls so that I can slay mortals. That is my purpose. But I can't. The tears stream down my face as Yelisaveta sits with me in relative silence. Just the two of us, sitting in some unused closet in the barracks. My body doesn't normally use much water, so crying this much can make me noticeably thirsty. I should probably try to stop, but in the end I lose track of time long before I run out of tears. I'm probably missing class. Yelisaveta doesn't seem to mind, though, just waiting patiently for my sobbing to slow down. What's it like? She asks when it finally does. I've read a lot about you, Lark. What you've done, how your body works. But what's it like, being you? I don't really know how to answer that, I choke out. I don't know what it's like to be you. Humans are weird. So good, but so weird. You think we're good? Yelisaveta asks, sounding surprised. We're not really that good. You don't feel constant urges to eat each other, I bite out. Yeah, but some of us do it anyway, Yelisaveta shrugs. Think about that. Sure, we have our instincts, but most of us aren't a non-stop mess of primal needs for violence. We'll hurt each other out of anger and stuff, but by and large when we slaughter each other, we're lucid during it. I'd argue that you have it worse than us, and yet you're still doing better. I shake my head. I've heard about that, but I've literally never seen two humans try to kill each other, I counter. And there are a ton of you. You're all over the place. There's no way the vast majority of you have killed any number of humans other than 0. Your problems are outliers. It's not comparable. You don't want to kill each other. You pretty clearly don't want to kill people, Yelisaveta says. I shake my head again, holding back a second bout of tears. That's what you don't get, I say slowly, barely holding myself back from screaming at her. None of you seem to get it. I do want to eat you. I want to kill and eat every last one of you, and I want it so badly that it hurts. As usual, the fear and disgust I expect to see on Yelisaveta's face never comes. She just looks calculating. Far calmer than anyone should be in a room with someone that swallowed their arm half a 10-day ago. Could you elaborate on that? She asks. Elaborate? She wants to know more? I don't know what to say, Captain, I tell her, but it proves to be false. Once the words start coming out, they don't slow down. I don't forget things like humans do. When I think about a memory, it's like I'm there again. Every feeling, every emotion, every sound, every thought, every urge, it's all back. I live through the worst parts of my life over and over again, and each time it's new, a different part of the experience coming into focus. When I look at you, I'm remembering the feeling of sawing through your bone, the taste of your blood, the ecstasy of having something to eat that isn't just another awful rat. You have no idea how incredible you all taste. That's why I hunted you. Why I still want to hunt you. I wish I could go back to before I knew right from wrong. I'm not made for this, Captain. My whole body is starving all the time. I don't think there's any limit to how much I can eat, and eating is the only thing that makes me not feel completely awful all the time, but I can't do it anymore because I'll just get worse and worse, and I don't want my body to change, but I can't stop myself from changing if I eat anything that doesn't make me feel horrible. There's nothing I can do. Everything makes some part of me feel horrible. I'm trapped. I can't even die. Captain Yelisaveta raises a hand at that, indicating she'd like to ask me something. I pull the words back, silencing myself so she can speak. Do you want to die? She asks softly. Yes, I confirm immediately. I've tried to kill myself, but I always end up surviving and going into frenzy instead. It doesn't work. I almost threw myself off the edge, but I was afraid I'd just end up as some other island's problem. I'm just a coward. Captain Yelisaveta nods slowly, staring at me with a quiet look of concern. Once she's gathered her thoughts, she quietly starts to speak. My talent gives me exceptionally sensitive senses, she explains slowly. I can make out any number of noises from absurdly far away. I can read something a mile away if there's nothing blocking my vision. I can smell. Well, I'm always smelling far too much. It's often quite overwhelming. And when I was younger, when I first got my talent, I couldn't handle it at all. I don't understand why she's telling me any of this, but something about the intensity of her look makes me focus on her anyway. It was agonizing. So much information was entering my head all the time that I couldn't even think. My parents had to take me to see a biomancer because I tried to claw my own eyes out with nothing but my fingernails. I had to be restrained, or I'd try to kill myself. I wanted to kill myself. My life was nothing but agony for years before I forced myself to deal with what my body had become. I had to come to terms with the fact that I'd never be the person I wanted to be again. I had to adapt, embrace myself, and move on. And it was awful. I find myself leaning forward a little. I had no idea other people felt this way. I guess that's silly of me, in retrospect. But if a human wanted to die, it should be pretty easy for them to accomplish that, right? No, wait. I'm being stupid. It would be as easy as jumping off the edge, and I couldn't bring myself to do that. I don't want to die anymore, Captain Yelisaveta continues. Sometimes I think about it, but it's not a very strong thought. Oh, I guess I should ask, since your memories work differently. Do you know what I mean by a strong thought? Does that happen to you? Where you'll consider something for a moment but it might not feel as tempting as it does otherwise, or it feels extra difficult to resist. Even if it's the same thought? Yeah, I admit, nodding. Sometimes are worse than others. Harder. Exactly, Captain Yelisaveta nods. Lark, I wanted to die because I was in constant pain. My whole world was wrong, and I had no hope that it would ever be right again. If you told me back then that I would be, maybe not great, but okay? If you told me I'd end up where I am now? Well, if I could have even understood you, I certainly wouldn't have believed you. But I am here. I figured myself out. Things got better. And, well, I guess the important thing is that my problems didn't go away. They never got any smaller. But I got better at dealing with them, so here I am now. Oh, I see. You're trying to draw parallels between our experiences, I summarize. You're trying to tell me that things will get better for me, like they did for you. I'm trying to tell you that I don't understand what it's like to be a Vrithitso, but I do understand what it's like to wish for oblivion, she corrects. I understand what it feels like to be stuck in a nightmare you can't wake up from. I understand what it's like to feel as though there's nothing and no one that can make your life worthwhile, that any joy you grasp even for a moment will get inevitably washed away by an unrelenting depression. I know what it's like to not care about any of that, because you can't care about anything. And I know what it's like to care so much, you just want it all to end so you don't have to care about anything ever again. Many of her words tear into me, but I still find myself shaking my head. You still think it will get better, I insist. I hope it will get better, she says. I believe you can feel better. And I want you to. I want you to be happy. You barely even know me. I don't see that as a good reason to think you can't overcome this. I shake my head again, more furiously this time. There's nothing to overcome, I tell her. Everything that makes me deserve death has already happened. I can't take them back. I ate and killed my own father, Captain. The best man I've ever known. He's the one that taught me to care, and I stop talking, pressing my hands over my eyes to try and stave off more tears. I was so small, I whisper. So stupid. I didn't know anything. But I knew enough. And I still did it. I'll always be a monster, Captain. If I ever had a chance for redemption, I lost it when I killed August. Just saying his name is enough to make me ache, my body repressing a sudden, clawing need to scream. I barely succeed at that, but once again, despite how much I try to hold them back, the tears start to flow. Nothing like the loud sobs I had before, just silent, chin-shaking streams that leave me struggling to breathe but too exhausted to care. August. I miss August. I miss him so much. Do you? Would you like a hug? Captain Yelisaveta asks softly. No, I choke out, shaking my head. No, I hate hugs. Oh, she answers. Yeah, me too. I'm not sure why, but something about that makes a laugh fall out of me. Briefly, between the tears, I manage to find that truly silly. Why did you even ask? I wonder. She shrugs. Well, it's not really about me, she answers. A lot of people I know would want a hug under these circumstances. Physical comfort just works for a lot of people. And I'm experienced enough at dealing with my issues that it's a really good trade-off to offer that kind of thing, at least for me. You're very kind, Captain, I managed to say between sniffs. Well, you're clearly quite kind yourself, Lark, she answers. If you weren't, you wouldn't care so much about any of this. I didn't used to be, I whisper. I tortured people. Murdered people. That's the whole reason Fulvia wanted to kill me. Where did you get the idea that kindness isn't a learned skill? Captain Yelisaveta asks. Everyone has to work at it, Lark. It's not invalid just because you used to be terrible at it. I don't have a response to that. It feels pointless to try to form one. I'm just empty. Tell me about him, Captain Yelisaveta says suddenly. What? I ask. Who? August, she answers. You called him your father. Tell me about him. Immediately, instinctively, I hate the idea. The absolute last thing I want to do is talk about August. Just thinking about him is one of the most painful things in my life. But somehow, again, the words come spilling out. Everything does, just because the question was asked. Things I've never spoken, never shared, all laid at her feet. I told her about my disguise, about my struggles to tell humans apart. I told her about helping him, about being invited home with him, about letting him live without knowing why. I told her about Sharif, about how I misunderstood his relationship with his mother, about how I killed her while her husband watched and thought I was doing my friend a favor. I told her about his toys, his lessons, his kindness, his frailty. I told her about the second time I fought Vita, where I ate him as he held me in his arms and called me family. Do you think he'd forgive you, Lark? Yelisaveta asks quietly. I know he did, I respond, my tears having long since dried up. Vita said he did. She revived him, I suppose, after his death. To ask him what he wanted her to do with his soul. My future captain's eyes go wide. She did? Really? She did, I confirm. And I guess he said he wanted to be with me. So she fed me what was left of him. She said it would complete my soul. And that he forgave me. Do you know what she meant? Yelisaveta asks, and I shake my head. I see. Well, I'm an inquisitor, so I can look at souls. Vrathitsa souls are supposedly very distinct. Like a black void, all-consuming and all-destroying. Infinitely voracious. But yours isn't like that at all, Lark. You have a wonderful soul. It's warm and it's bright and it smells like wood from the forest, dangerous yet beautiful. It looks very, very human. My breath catches. That's what Vita said. A deep and gleaming light, smelling of fresh wood. She was describing August's soul. And now, somehow, it's mine, I whisper. He gave it to me to keep. I didn't digest it. Yelisaveta raises her eyebrows, but doesn't comment on my words. Definitely forgave you, then, she says instead. So, do you think he'd want you to forgive yourself? Would he want you to be miserable? He would want me to not hurt anyone, I tell her firmly. But I can't stop myself from hurting people. I either lose control, or I do what the Templars want, and hurt people on purpose. I'm either a monster or a weapon. That's not an answer, she says, holding out her newly grown hand to me. Would he want you to be miserable? What would he tell you if you came to him as a failure? Would he want you to end your life? Or would he want you to pick yourself back up and succeed the next time? I know the answer. I hate it, but I know it. People are meant to persevere, she tells me. We are meant to improve. We pick ourselves up when we fall, forgive those who tripped us, and walk forward together. And every step along the way, we reach a hand out to help the others that have fallen. That is, in my heart, the true nature of humanity. And I see it in you, Lark. We are weak, and we fail, and sometimes our failures bring down everyone around us. But if you keep walking forward, keep helping those you meet, we will all reach a better place together. But when I fall, I whisper, I can bring down a lot more people than you can. True, Yelisaveta nods. But you have more arms than I do. You can help a lot more people up. And is that what this would be? I ask. Will killing us and Vita help people? Us? Certainly, Yelisaveta confirms. If there's anyone in the world that deserves death, it's ours. Vita is a trickier question. I don't want to kill Vita, I tell her. I think, if there's one person in the world that I hate, it's her. But even then, I don't want to kill her. Well, Yelisaveta says, you have until you graduate to decide on that. It likely won't be long after that when we go after her. A necromancer as powerful as she is, even if she's more misguided than evil, isn't something the church can abide by. If you don't want to assist us, I'd suggest dropping out of the program. I chuckle humorlessly. I wasn't under the impression that was an option for me, I tell her. I don't think the Templars are any more keen on having a Vrithitso run around the city than they are a necromancer. Yeah, well, I'll fight for you, Yelisaveta smirks, thumping her chest with a fist. Templar service is voluntary, and they're going to remember it. The choice is yours, Lark. You wanna walk out, you can. No questions, no threats, no bullshit. I'll even see if I can get Lady Vesuvius to make you a citizen. So, you should consider your decision without worrying about any of that crap, okay? Okay, I promise, nodding. I wipe one more errant tear that started to form, but thankfully no others join it. Hey, I guess this'll be a weird question because I already said no before, but I swallow. See, can I have a hug after all? Yelisaveta raises her eyebrows, but nods firmly. Of course, yeah, she agrees, holding her hands out. Why? I thought you hated hugs. I hate them because they remind me of August, I tell her, hesitantly leaning forwards. But you kind of already do. She smiles softly, pulling my torso onto her lap. I curl up on the floor beside her as I feel her arms wrap around me, warm and tempting. Just feeling it causes saliva to pool in my mouth. But right now, there are other feelings that beat stronger. Loss, regret, and pain, sure. But for the first time since his death, I remember his living moments again. Love, compassion, uncertainty. I remember the times I looked forward to tomorrow, and smile. The pain is not gone. I know that, sometime soon, I will look at my claws and feel the need to rip open my throat with them, to try desperately to leave this world and flee from self-hate. But something, somehow, is a little more hopeful right now. And I resolve to remember this, too. Idly, seemingly without thought, Yelisaveta starts stroking the top of my head. It makes me tense at first, but unlike Galdra, she is careful with my ears, her gentle ministrations scratching delicately at their base, massaging the muscles I use to move them without hurting. More and more, I relax, and soon enough I feel my body vibrating a low hum with every breath I take. I close my eyes, and I'm not afraid. Okay, so, that's close, but you need to remember that these movements don't exist in a vacuum, I patiently remind Bentley. Remember, we're not just making hand signs there, we're practicing for when we'll use these movements to physically shape a mana structure. So every single gesture you perform is relative to the gesture you performed before it. That's why steps 8 and 19 end with your hand in the same configuration but require different movements to reach that point. Okay. Bentley answers hesitantly, trying to correct himself and failing. I carefully grab his hand, pushing down the instinctive urge to yank it up into my mouth, and guide him through the motions. This is the 28th time I've done this for this particular step, but Bentley has been averaging about 50 corrections per step before finally internalizing what he's been doing wrong, so I ignore my irritation. Humans have different strengths. It's been a month since I nearly killed Captain Yelisaveta, and the final Templar readiness test is fast approaching. I'm pretty much set to pass, so I've been tutoring my fellow trainees in my free time. In Bentley's case, that often means all night, since unlike other humans he can stay awake for days at a time without suffering any noticeable ill effects. So here we are, practicing magic in the dorm common room well after nightfall. Bentley still has to sleep sometimes, but his stamina talent is no joke. Which is good, because he really needs the extra study time. You'll get it, Bentley, I reassure him. You're getting there bit by bit. Just keep practicing and you'll have it down in no time. Thanks, Lark, Bentley sighs. But then I'll have to learn to channel, and then I'll have to learn the Essential 8. Xavier says the Essential 8 are way easier than the cancel commands, I tell him, smiling toothlessly. And I can't say I have much experience either way, but I can see it. The cancel commands are a lot more complicated. Except for the healing spells, I guess, but we'll get to those later. My backpedaling doesn't seem to get to him, thankfully. He nods with renewed motivation, and we get back to practice, my attention split between making sure he's not performing his gestures wrong and watching the flow of mana as it travels through my own body. Channeling continues to be difficult for me, but at least I've found out why. Mana that enters the center of my soul vanishes. Which is weird, because from the outside my soul looks perfectly normal. Yelisaveta says that she's not skilled enough at soul sight to look any deeper than the outside, but it seems likely that the inner workings of my soul are different from the layers on the outside. Mana that enters the middle gets sucked away, presumably to wherever it is the stuff I eat goes. Unlike eating, however, pulling mana into my soul feels awful, sending shudders of displeasure through my body that get worse every time I screw up and suck in too much mana by accident. Things are fine if I keep the mana in my outer soul layer, but straining my limits there and trying to internally shape mana into a hollow sphere so I can hit my limit and cast spells with the maximum amount of power I have available to me is slow and takes a lot of focus. Still, I'm figuring it out. You guys gonna be out here all night again? A groggy Xavier asks, yawning as he wanders into the common room with us. Probably, Bentley admits sheepishly. I'm making progress, but I have a long way to go. Xavier mumbles, sitting down on the couch next to him. Okay, well, let me help then. You should probably sleep, I scold lightly. You actually need it. No, Xavier yawns. I'm gonna help my boyfriend. He flops over, nestling his head onto Bentley's lap. There, he declares. Helping. I snort with amusement as Bentley blushes, awkwardly trying to figure out what to do in this situation. Well, you do need to be able to perform your cancel commands regardless of distractions, I tell him, and Bentley's face lights up as he resumes his work. Though he switches to the one-handed cancel command practice so he can pet Xavier's hair while doing it. Oh, that looks so nice. Now I want the captain to scratch my head again. Wait, did I just think that? No, bad idea. Dangerous, very dangerous. Keep contact to a minimum. I look away, returning focus to my own soul. This is how most days have been. I work, I train, I read, I practice, and I help others do the same. Bentley puts in more effort than anyone, even though he's the slowest to learn. Xavier continues to keep things positive, his unique combination of silliness and thoughtfulness always shining through. Harvey still mostly ignores everyone else, but is there to lend a hand to anyone that asks. And Melik? Well, Melik hates me slightly less, I think. But it's kind of hard to tell. He's certainly more willing to work with me and listen to my advice, so I'll count that as a win. I haven't had another frenzy episode since then either, though I think part of that is because Lady Vesuvius increased my food allotment. I have enough to save for emergencies, even, which is good because I've caused a few heavily damaging internal mana explosions while experimenting with channeling, and things might have gotten bad if I didn't have extra food to heal myself with. I'm being careful, of course, but, well, it's heartening to have things not go wrong. Everything is on track towards me becoming a Templar, someone respected and worthy of that respect. Except, of course, the fact that I still haven't decided whether I want to be one or not. After all, my purpose as a Templar will mainly be to kill, and while I'm fine with killing monsters, people are an entirely different matter. Even bad people. But it's okay. At least for now. I have time to make that decision. Xavier quickly ends up falling asleep on Bentley's lap as we continue magic practice through the night. In the morning we go to combat class, and I end up paired with Malik again. Which is fine, even if I've given up on his ability to kill me. He's still a dedicated sparring partner that doesn't mind when I go all out. The more I practice with a sword and shield, the more I like them. Sure, I'm always going to be more dangerous using my natural weapons, but the rhythm of a sparring match is an enjoyable exertion. I'm faster than everyone else here, sure, but speed is far from the only thing that decides the winner in our matches. I've only recently started being able to beat our instructor in spars despite the fact that I'm faster and stronger, simply because he was better. He would trick me into overcommitting against feints, perform skillful counters against my attacks, and take advantage of my relatively light weight to force me off balance. I can learn faster than other people, sure. I can perfectly repeat any movement I've already performed. But even that perfection got turned against me, letting the instructor more accurately predict and react to my attacks and defenses. I have to be constantly learning, constantly adapting to spar properly, and I find it quite enjoyable. Of course, Malik is nowhere near that good. Fuck. He swears, doubling over after I smashed him with a pommel strike in the gut. Language, I respond, letting a bit of smugness into my tone. Apparently, people always interpreted that as a taunt when I say it after winning, and against Malik I'm happy to lean into that. I thought. I had you that time, he grunts. Sorry Malik, but I had mana sight on. I could see the repulsion rune you put on my sword tip. But when did you cast? I chuckle, drumming on the inside of my armor with my third and fourth sets of fingers. I have more hands, remember? My arms might be trapped in this chitin junk but I can still move my fingers. Uck. How am I supposed to win if I can't even surprise you? That's for you to figure out, I shrug. You're really creative, honestly. I think you're probably more likely to think of something than I am at this point. I just need more fucking metal, he grumbles. I could wipe anybody out if I had enough of it. Well, hopefully you'll get authorized more of it when we graduate? I hedge. Probably a bit, he sighs, stretching a little before settling back into a combat stance. Hopefully it'll be enough. I bet it'll make more difference than you think, I shrug. You're certainly the best at fighting me out of all the trainees. Really? He asks incredulously. Even better than Harvey? He has more combat experience than all of us put together. Harvey is strong, but mostly just because of his talent, I answer. And his talent is mainly useful at destroying structures, deafening people, that sort of thing. He's better with a sword than you are, but your talent is way more useful in a one-on-one fight than his is. I guess that makes sense, Malik acknowledges, clearly cheering up a bit. I'm glad I could improve his mood before beating the stuffing out of him again. I gotta say, Lark, I kind of hate how difficult you are to hate. Huh? I ask, dropping my guard enough for Malik to bop me in the helmet. Ow? Wait, what did you mean? I mean that I fucking hate monsters, especially ones that act like people, Malik grumbles as I block his next swing. My whole village got possessed by mind control slimes a while back. The person they sent to save us killed my mentor and later turned out to be an evil necromancer, so who knows what's going on with that. And of course we've had a few people die from Vrithitso attacks in the interim. The moment I found out about you, I promised myself, not again. Yet here we are, being chummy even though it's just a matter of time until you go batshit insane and kill everyone. I'm just making the same mistake over and over. I stagger him with a shield parry and reverse his offensive, managing to get my sword to his throat after only a couple more exchanges. I feel the same way, I answer honestly. but Captain Yelisavetu insists the goal is to not go insane. She believes in me, and I believe in her. Half of us are better fighters than the captain, Melik grunts. What does she know? Maybe if you talk with her more, you can find out, I answer. I'm sure she'd be happy to chat with you, give you some advice. I guess, Melik allows, shrugging his shoulders. She's just weird and intense. Am I not weird and intense? I ask, raising an eyebrow under my helmet. No, you definitely are, Melik answers flatly. That might actually be why the two of you get along so well. I guess? The captain always seemed pleasantly casual, to me. She is casual, Melik agrees. But she's like intense about it. I don't know how to describe this to you, it's just nothing phases her. At all. I feel like I could bring her Bentley's severed head and she'd just kind of glance at it and say that's not good. I tense up, my whole body suddenly clawing for violence. Don't you dare hurt Bentley, I growl. What? Melik yelps, jumping back a little. I'm not fucking going to. It was just an example, shit. You're not allowed to hurt anybody other than me, I insist. If that's something you need, you can go until I tell you to stop. Next to us, Xavier suddenly busts out laughing in the middle of his spar and nearly gets smacked in the face. Don't say it like that, Lark, Melik sighs. What? I ask. I thought that was reasonable. What did I do wrong this time? Sex thing. Xavier calls out to me. How is that a sex thing? I protest. Get your asses back to your spars. The instructor orders, and I obey with a scowl. Lady Vesuvius tests the limits of my pain tolerance for scientific reasons all the time. I don't get why it would be a sex thing. Though humans certainly have a lot of sex things. I'm glad I haven't developed their apparent obsession with it, though I'm growing increasingly terrified that eventually I might. Despite having superficial similarities to an adult human woman, I still haven't hit whatever Vrathitso puberty is. And considering how awful every single other aspect of being a Vrathitso is, I've no doubt that it will be horrifying, unpleasant, and incredibly dangerous for everyone around me. So, business as usual, really. What's weird is that I'm starting to think I might actually be able to handle it. After class I decide to head to the bath in the barracks, since it's been, well, at least a few days since the last time I washed off. Even though I can bathe any time I want, the barracks bathhouse is a bit of an awkward place for me. Still, I enter, strip down, rinse off, and enter the women's bathing area. Immediately, the two other people inside stop talking. One is my Vulcan law instructor, the other is a middle-aged woman whose face I don't recognize but whose smell I do. She's just one of the many Templars that frequents the base, I presume. Wordlessly, both of them get up and exit the bathing area, leaving me with nothing but my own embarrassment and dread to keep me company. I've managed to make friends here, and I'm thankful for that. But I wouldn't describe myself as well-liked. I'm treated professionally, for the most part, but none of the other women here want to share a bath with a Vrathitso. It hurts, but I can hardly blame them for that. At least I can flex my quills and soak up what little heat the bath has without bothering anyone else. Warm water holds so much more heat than warm air, for whatever reason. I happily start sucking it all down, my body humming with the pleasant vibrations my throat makes whenever I feel content. Mind if I join you, Lark? A familiar voice asks me, causing me to jump in surprise. I thought you might want some company. Sea Captain. I yelp. Did you already know I was here? I turn to face her, wincing slightly as I notice her arm is a slightly lighter skin tone than the rest of her body, even after all this time. Lark, not to sound creepy, but as long as I'm conscious I know exactly where you are at literally all times, she grunts, stepping into the water. Oh, wow, you got this chilly fast. Sorry. I didn't think anyone else would be coming. I apologize. It's fine, she sighs, sinking into the frigid bath. It doesn't really make much difference to me either way. I nod, but I still fold my spines flat against my back and settle into a proper seat rather than continuing to suck up all the heat from the middle of the pool. I don't think it's creepy, I reassure her. The fact that you know where I am, I mean, it's reassuring. Yelisaveta lets out a dry chuckle. Well, I'm glad we can be weird in complementary ways. Yeah, I agree, and a comfortable silence descends. Captain Elisaveta has been getting busier and busier as the month goes on, but she still finds time to at least pop by to ask if I need anything every day. Her calm confidence, her optimism, her thoughtfulness. It really does remind me of August. It makes me feel small again. You'll be done with your training soon, Elisaveta says after a while. Just a couple 10-day. Have you made your decision yet? Well, no, I admit. But 20 days is a lot of time, right? I'm thinking about it. Well, what are your thoughts on it? Blue. I'm mostly just trying not to think about it, if I'm being honest. On one hand, eating someone on purpose fundamentally contradicts the person I want to become, and represents a regression that I'm not sure I can recover from. On the other hand, the people I trust to know right from wrong think I should do it, and Vita tastes really good. I should probably do it, I say quietly. I don't want to. I don't like the idea. But I probably should. The Templars know better than I do. Elisaveta regards me critically, leaving me unable to even guess what she's thinking about. That's the hope, isn't it? She says quietly. That there are some people who actually know right from wrong. But I still think it's best you decide for yourself. If you choose to follow orders, acknowledge that's still your choice. Okay, I nod. I will. Like I said, I'm still thinking about it. Good. We don't say anything after that, but that's okay. We finish getting clean, dry off, get dressed, and return to work. I meet up with Bentley to do more training. Days pass like this, one after the other, until 20 days becomes 10 and 10 days becomes 1. And of course, plenty of time to think about it becomes no time at all. I move through the exit exams as a nervous wreck, not because any of the exams themselves are challenging but because I still have no idea what to do. Being a Templar means killing people. Killing people is wrong. But protecting people is right, and sometimes you have to kill in order to protect. I mean, I normally just kill monsters, but if people are going to act like monsters, then I don't know. I'm still freaking out over it in my head when I suddenly find myself standing in front of a Templar general, about to receive my official armor. Ah, how did this happen so quickly? Trainee Lark, the general intones. Your journey with us has perhaps been one of the strangest gifts the Mistwatcher has sent us. Your story is one that many may doubt, but from this day forward let none of them be Templars. Though your past may be riddled with woe, you more than anyone have proven that with enough determination, consideration, and compassion, anyone may claw themselves back into the Watcher's good graces. You are an exemplar not only of your race, but of all people. And it has been determined that you are worthy of the title Templar. I swallow nervously, trying to find my voice from within the chaos of my mind. Thank you, sir, I managed to choke out. And so, the time has come. Do you, Trainee Lark, hereafter dedicate yourself to be the Watcher's servant in all things, fighting not for yourself but for the greater well-being of his community? I don't know. But what am I going to do, just say that to his face? I do, I tell him, and the choice is made. Not by thought, but by inertia. Then from now on, you are Templar Lark, he intones. You will report to Inquisitor Captain Elisaveta for your assignments. Congratulations. He hands me my new, pristine white helmet. I take it, shuffling off to the side so that my fellow trainees can accept the ceremony next. We all graduated, even Bentley, though we certainly had to cram to get him certified at casting. Oh, Watcher, is this right? Did I make the right choice? The 5 of us, myself, Bentley, Harvey, Xavier, and Melik all report to Captain Elisaveta's new office after the ceremony, decked out in our shiny new gear. Solid white armor, swords, and shields, all made from the strongest chitin-producing beasts in Vulca. For once, our captain is also wearing her full uniform, the white chitin of her armor trimmed with the black of the Inquisition and the blue of her rank. She regards us with uncharacteristic imperiousness, as if trying to impose the seriousness of the situation with posture alone. Well, Templars, in 3 days' time you will be deployed on your first mission, she declares. Like all missions, it may be your last. But the lot of you are particularly unlucky, and you're going to be thrust into the thick of something nasty right from the start. I suspect one of you already knows what the mission is. The others glance around with confusion, so I clear my throat and speak up. We're going to kill Vita, I say. A startled surprise settles on the room, Melik and Bentley both tensing with stress. Captain Yelisaveta, however, just snorts derisively. "Well," she sighs, "I suppose we're certainly going to try."